You see, a South African minister just went on live TV and did the unthinkable. What no one was expecting that she could do. What many politicians are unable to do. What so many ministers have been twisting and they are not wanting to tell us the truth. This minister went on live TV and voiced it out for the entire world to hear. She said that xenophobic attacks in South Africa are affecting the country, and this is no longer something that is hidden. The whole world is now aware, and it is tarnishing the image of South Africa. This is something that requires boldness for someone to come on live TV to say this. That minister is Justice Minister Muamaloko Kubai, and she told South Africans flat out that the wave of attacks on foreign nationals can not only hurt the brand but can hurt our social cohesion. Not might, not could happen eventually. It is happening right now. And do you know what? She said this on camera for everyone to hear. And while she was admitting that, something else very significant was happening on the street. Crowds of South Africans, regular citizens, were marching, not against foreigners, but against xenophobia itself, holding signs demanding it stop, trying to tell the world this is not all of us. So, you've got two South Africans colliding at the same time. A government official admitted the damage is real on live TV, and citizens marching to undo it before it's too late for the same reason. And this time around, they can't be wrong. Stick with me, because by the end of this video, you understand exactly why almost all African countries right now has South Africa on their mouth, and it isn't out of love. So what exactly happened? Let's rewind to April 2026. That's what this current wave kicked off. A movement called March started organizing demonstrations in Pretoria, Johannesburg, and Durban, pushing for tougher action against undocumented migrants. Those marches turned violent in several cities, with vigilante groups targeting Africans and Asian foreign nationals, and human rights groups says police barely responded. This wasn't isolated. Ghana and Nigeria has formally complained to the South African government, and Mozambique was expected to follow, all over the treatment of their citizens. Nigeria's foreign minister personally called her South African counterpart to raise the deaths of two Nigerian nationals. And then it got real on South Africa's own pocket. Kubai revealed that South Africa artists are losing their gigs across the continent because of the backlash. One artist told her directly that every single one of her continental performances had been cancelled. That income gone. That's South Africa's own culture, locked out of the whole of Africa, but it used to tour freely. Now, here is the part a lot of outside coverage skips. Plenty of South Africans are furious about this too. Groups have organized marches specifically against the xenophobic violence, refusing to let vigilante groups speak for the whole country. It echoes something South Africa has ever seen before. Back in 2015, tens of thousands marched through Johannesburg carrying signs that read "Africa Unite" and "Welcome Foreigners," with provincial leaders telling crowds, "We will defeat xenophobia like we defeated apartheid." History matters because it's exactly what makes this moment stage so much harder. So, why is this hitting so differently right now? Here is the gut punch nobody wants to hear out loud in South Africa. The rest of Africa right now remembers who South Africa was asking for help during the apartheid or when it was also in trouble. WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom called the current violence a tragic betrayal, pointing out that African nations stood united to dismantle apartheid. Ethiopia even gave Nelson Mandela a passport in 1982 for him to travel the continent in order for him to rally support. Other countries gave South Africa liberation money in order to support them because they are their brothers and sisters. They gave them training, diplomatic covers, and supported them financially because they knew this was the time for crisis. So, when footage circulates of African nationals being chased, beaten, or having their shops looted in South Africa, it doesn't read to the rest of the continent as a domestic law and other issue. It reads as a betrayal of death. That's the emotional change why Lagos, Accra, Lusaka, Maputo aren't just mildly annoyed. They are publicly democratically angry. This isn't staying contained to anger statements either. Nigeria has already started repatriating its citizens. That is, they have been taking their citizens back to their country. The first group of 262 flew back to Nigeria from Johannesburg some weeks back. Malawi has been bringing hundreds of its citizens home by bus from Durban, and Ghana and Mozambique have both raised safety concerns through official channels. And in past wave of the same crisis, the backlash has hit South African businesses directly. Zambia's biggest radio station pulled out all South African music and banned anyone from playing it. Malawi activists called for the boycott of South African shops. That's the playbook African countries wish for when diplomacy alone doesn't feel like enough, and it's the same playbook now being dusted off in 2026. This is why this minister Kubayi going on live television and admitting this was a crucial step. She called specifically for South Africans to reject vigilantism and let the government handle immigration through proper legal channels, not mob justice. She also pushed back on another incident that xenophobia defines who the country is right now in the world stage, insisting that the government does not accept it as a defining feature of South African society. But here is the tension. An admission isn't a solution. African governments and ordinary citizens across the continent are watching to see whether this is real protection for foreign nationals or just more statements while the attacks continue. The Justice Minister admitted the country's global image is taking real damage. South Africa artists losing work across the very continent that once helped free their country. Neighboring nations pulling their citizens out, and ordinary South African marching in streets trying to remind the world and their own government that this isn't who they want to be. So, where does this leave South Africa? Whether South Africa can turn this around depends on what happens next, not what has been said on camera. If this breakdown actually helped you understand what is going on, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more African news broken down. Thanks and see you in the next one.